Ah, he's going right over there where we were. Yeah, there's a helicopter, but it ain't coming here.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, is it?
I don't know. It's turning. It's got his landing gear out.
Does it? Might be coming after him.
Yeah, state trooper. That's it.
Huh?
That's it. It's probably gonna land over at the police station.
I think we picked the wrong side out.
Yeah.
Most people walk right in front of you.
I am a little kid. I know it. Yes, you told me yes, I've got all the play. Delta? No, Delta. No, just one round for the Delta I went on. Hector, you want a job? That's why Chris spoke. Hector's got it going.
Need some help?
Oh, I got it. That one. Karen and Karen, that's easy.
There you go.
You want to take this to Mama?
Get up there. Get up there.
Get it, get Karen. Yeah. No, we're so cute.
Nope, right in front of Bob.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was in your way taking pictures.
Are we on? Yeah, we're good. Okay, that's good. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the city of Burlington. I'm Dr. Jim Fazone, mayor of the city. And I just would like to tell everyone that we do have a special guest behind me, Governor Chris Christie. And politics and governance is really all about relationships. I, along with all of the other mayors in the state of New Jersey, had a chance to develop a relationship with Governor Christie during Hurricane Sandy. Each and every day during that hurricane, which was, as you know, of a crisis situation, the governor really took over and showed tremendous leadership and organizational and administrative skills. The governor, through the network that he had set up, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the network that he set up, but the governor has assigned people to each and every mayor throughout the state. And I have a cell phone number that I can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they pick up that phone. And I can tell you, they always pick up the phone. And as Dave Ballard, our business administrator, will verify, you better not be in the middle of a conversation because they pick up the phone. And so you don't want to be in the middle of some other conversation. They will pick the phone up. And so you always want to be using the King's English when the governor's office picks up that phone. And they will also communicate back to us. That communication and that network is available for any problem that we have. So that network wasn't just available during Hurricane Sandy, that network is available all year long. So during Hurricane Sandy, when we did have that emergency, we were told to go to City Hall and stand by for updates and for a meeting and a teleconference. Our emergency management folk, and I saw Colonel Caruso, we were to stand by and listen for updates. And some of those updates had to do with other areas of the state, some areas that were hit harder than Burlington, but we were told exactly what to do, and we got a lot of information. Now, locally, we have a reverse 911 system. And any of the information that Governor Christie gave to us and his staff gave to us, we were able to transmit, and we had a meeting immediately after that teleconference, and we were able to give information to our residents and to our citizens. And we got a lot of positive feedback because of the information we were able to provide. People feel very comfortable and they feel very safe when they can have information based on the emergency. The governor also directed Public Service, Electric and Gas, and he directed power companies throughout the state, but locally in Burlington, he directed Public Service, Electric and Gas to also have a teleconference immediately after the governor's teleconference, and Public Service, Electric and Gas gave us information neighborhood by neighborhood, street by street, and house by house as to when power would be restored. And we were able to tell each and every neighbor when they would get power based on wires that were down, when they would be replaced. And the governor also told us when help was coming from other states. Some areas of the state had gas stations that didn't have gas. We were more fortunate than other areas. However, what you should know is that we were somewhat lucky because the original weather reports that Colonel Caruso showed me, and I was a little concerned because I said, Colonel, why is Burlington blue on this map? And he indicated that Hurricane Sandy was actually supposed to come up the mouth of the Delaware, and that we were originally supposed to be underwater. But as we know, historically, we're fortunate in some other areas. We're not so fortunate. But because of the relationship that was developed, and because Governor Christie showed such amazing organizational administrative skills, because I feel so comfortable with Governor Christie being the governor. As a mayor, I have one single purpose anytime I make a decision as the mayor. And that single purpose is to do what is best for the residents of the city of Burlington. We have an election coming up, a gubernatorial election, and that single purpose that I have when I have to make a decision who to support in the gubernatorial election, it's very easy for me because of the support that we get for our citizens out of the State House with Governor Christie as the leader of our state, not only because of the organization and administration and the skills and leadership that he's demonstrated. In addition to that, I am aware that more money is going to be put into education this year under the Christie administration, and the commitment that he's making to the businesses that we have in our downtown. I am endorsing and supporting Governor Christie in the upcoming election, and yes, I'm still the left-wing bleeding liberal Democrat that I always have been, and I'm not supporting any other Republicans. You know, my father's quote, you know, he would always quote Winston Churchill, anybody who's not a liberal in age, you 20 has no heart, anybody's not a conservative, age 40 has no mind. And he would say, Jim, so then how are you at age 59? You're still a liberal, you're supposed to be a conservative, you're really bringing a new meaning to that quote, but God rest his soul. But, I still am that liberal, but my job is to do what's best for the residents of the city of Burlington, and in doing that, I have to maintain the support for Governor Christie. We need him to lead the state for the time that I am mayor for what's best for the residents of the city of Burlington. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll turn it over to the leader of the state of New Jersey, Chris Christie, the governor.
Thank you. What an amazing day to be here. Thank you all so much for coming out on a really beautiful day. And I want to start off by thanking Jim for his partnership. His partnership just hasn't started today or in the last week, as he mentioned. Our administration and Jim and his administration here have been working together for the entire time that I've been governor. And when crises have hit our state, whether it was Hurricane Irene or Hurricane Sandy, we worked together to try to make sure that the citizens of the city of Burlington were served well, the same way the citizens of the state of New Jersey need to be served well. And so I don't have a lot to add to his words. This is what we've been trying to accomplish for the last 4 years. Be to say to folks, listen, we're going to have differences. And Jim, as he said, this big bleeding heart liberal. I'm conservative. But guess what? What we both know what we have to do is to serve the constituents that elected us and to do the very best job we can to work together to produce results. And the fact is we've been able to do that. And so I'm extraordinarily gratified by Jim's friendship and today by his support and endorsement. And I think it's another bit of evidence that proves that we're doing something different in New Jersey, much different, honestly, than what they're doing in Washington, D.C., where all they're doing is fighting and bickering with each other based on party. It's not right. And we have to work together to accomplish the goals that we need to accomplish for the people of our state. Jim is putting the people of the city of Burlington first, as he should, and that's why it's so gratifying that on that basis, and the basis of the work that we've done, that we have his support today. And so I hope that this message continues to go out throughout the entire state, and I'll sure be trying to make sure it does, which is that regardless of party, here in New Jersey we have to work together. And what matters the most is strong leadership and moving our state in a direction that will make us proud again. And I feel that change happening in New Jersey as we speak. We've got more work to do. That's why I want to run for another 4 years. We have more work to do. I look forward to working with Jim, the members of the council who are here today, business administrator, the public works director, all the folks that I've met today. We look forward to working with all of you to make sure that we keep things on the upswing here in the city of Burlington and do the same thing for the state of New Jersey. And that'll set an example for the rest of the country, that Republicans and Democrats can work together, should work together, and if we want to make progress in our state and in our country, they must work together. So I appreciate all of you taking the time to greet me and all the wonderful folks that I met walking along the street there. It's an incredibly friendly place, and I'm happy to be here. And it's such a great group of folks that, were so kind and nice to me this morning as I took photos with folks and had a chance to have conversations with them. It's really nice to be able to meet folks like this in New Jersey and know that we're really working together towards the same goal, which is to make this a place where our children and grandchildren will be able to and will want to raise their kids right here in the same places where we raised ours. So I can't thank the mayor enough. I know it's never easy to cross party lines, but he sounded very strong and firm in what he had to say because he believes in progress for his city and progress for New Jersey above party. And so I appreciate it, Mayor, very much for hosting me today, and appreciate all of you coming out to say hello. Looks like if we can have this weather for the rest of the weekend, looks like spring has finally hit. Man, I've been cold out there. I don't know about you. It's been cold. I've been waiting for spring for a while, so hopefully this is the beginning of the fact that spring is coming. And we know that this week coming up is a big week leading into Memorial Day weekend for our state. So this could be kind of my last appearance inland. And then we're going to be on the shore for most of the rest of next week to let people across the state, the region, and the country know that the Jersey Shore is reopened, ready for business, ready for families to come there and vacation with their families, to make sure that we still have a vibrant, beautiful shore for all of our citizens and the citizens of other states to come and visit. So it's great to spend my Friday here in the city of Burlington, and you'll be seeing me running all up and down the Jersey Shore all next week to make sure that I can bring as much publicity as possible to the idea that our state is reopened. We have more work to do, but we're ready to receive visitors and have them come here and enjoy the summers like they always have. So I want to thank the mayor. I have time for a couple of questions before I have to go to my next event. So if there's some members of the press here who have some questions, I'm happy to take a few. Terry?
Governor, 4 years ago, you were sort of underfunded, underdog candidate. So to what extent does that alter how you're running your campaign?
I don't think it alters it much, Terry. I mean, what alters the way I run my campaign the most is that I have a job to do now. You know, 4 years ago, I left the U.S. Attorney's Office and I ran for governor full time. And so when you're a full-time candidate, you know, you dedicate a little bit of different time to campaigning than you would when you're the governor. My first job, the job I spend the most time on, is being the governor, working every day to put that job the best way I can. So I think the biggest difference is more to do with some of the things that were in the preface of your question, but more to do with the fact that, you know, when you have the governor's job to do every day, you've got to really focus on that first and foremost, and that's what I'm doing. And so when I have a little time like this on a Friday to come and campaign and accept the endorsement, you know, we'll do those things. And I suspect that there will be more demands in the campaign as we move closer and closer to Election Day. But at least for right now, my first and foremost focus is on just, you know, running the state, and that's what makes it so much different for me. So,
I'm curious if you think the criticism that you is kind of unfair advantage from hearing about the funding towards ads during an election year?
Listen, I didn't pick when Hurricane Sandy was hit, when our state was going to launch a tourism advertising campaign in order to try to make sure that everybody knows that the shore is open and ready to go. And the firm that was selected for the bidding process came and approached us about me and Mary Pat Kids being in the ads because they thought that we would be, you know, some of the most powerful spokespeople for the fact that New Jersey is reopened. I'm happy and proud to have me and my family in those ads, and I hope that what they do is bring people to the Jersey Shore. And there's nothing political about the ads. You know, I think I say they're stronger than the storm. I think that's my line. So I don't think that has anything to do with politics. I think that's the truth. And so no, I don't see any advantage due or undue to me. That's part of what I kind of say to Terry. I'm doing my job. And if I was unwilling to appear in those ads, in my view, that would be me putting politics and concern for criticism ahead of doing my job the right way, and I'm not going to do that.
Have you seen the ad?
Yeah, I sure.
Is that all that Jersey specific?
Pretty Jersey specific to me. I mean, I saw the lighthouse and the shore, and lots of folks. Listen, I'd like the ad. I'm not an advertising expert, so I don't know. We'll see how effective it is or isn't. That's why we hired people who are advertising experts. But we were on the boardwalk in Belmar when we filmed that. It looked pretty Jersey to me. So, but you know, everybody's gonna have different ideas about it. But generally, yeah, I like the ad. I think it gets the message across. And the message is supposed to be: we're open, we're ready for you to come to the Jersey Shore this summer. And I think it gets that message across. So, but we'll see. We'll see how effective it is. Max?
Governor, given your record as U.S. Attorney, sir, a lot of Democrats fear you for office as governor. At what point do you feel that administrative and organizational skill, as the mayor identified, replaced, supplanted fear as a motivating factor for Democrats to? I'm not trying to ask
No, I get it. Finish it up, Max.
I'm curious about the fear factor, sir, and whether you think it still abides, or where do you think that organizational administrative skill supplanted fear as a reason to support it?
Well, listen, I never quite understood it as fear, like you're saying, Max. I saw it as respect. That they had seen over the course of 7 years that I wouldn't tolerate, as U.S. Attorney, the kind of corruption that we had had in this state for a long time. And that whether it was Republicans or Democrats, we would put them in jail if they broke the law and they traded on their public office for personal profit. And I think when I became governor, I think they just understood that I wasn't going to change. Now, my argument, as you remember from 4 years ago, was that I also developed a lot of administrative and organizational skills as U.S. Attorney, running that office, managing those cases, and the administrative and organizational skills may have been a surprise to some people, but I don't think a surprise to people who interacted with my office over the 7 years I ran it. I was always very intent on trying to make sure that we got the most out of everybody who worked with me, and that my role was to make sure that we were organized in a way that could help to make that easier to happen, and that I was there making the decisions that needed to be made as quickly as possible so that we could move on to whatever the next issue was. And I think that's the same way I'm operating as governor. So I don't see a real difference. I acknowledge what you're saying about that factor, but I think it was much more about respect than fear.
Governor, just a quick follow-up.
Sure.
Do you see it as significant that you received the endorsement of the mayor as a swing district as opposed to some of the other mayoral endorsements?
Sure. Well, listen, it's incredibly significant. I think it sends a very strong message that that people are making these judgments about this race based upon performance and based upon who you are as a person. Can they trust you? Can they work with you? And that's why I'm so gratified by it. I would suggest to you too that we were in Manville earlier this week. That Manville, even though it's in a Republican county, is a swing town in a Republican county. As evidenced by the fact they have a Democratic mayor in what is predominantly a Republican county. So I think that's what you're seeing. I think you're seeing folks who care more about independence than they care about party. It doesn't mean our party's not important to us. Jim's party's important to me, and mine is important. Jim's important to him, and mine's important to me. But what's most important is doing the job that we're elected to do. And he's doing that here in the city of Burlington, and I'm trying to do it as the governor. Well, we're going to look, Melissa, that would be the next tranche of money. What I announced yesterday is in the first of the $1.8 billion that we received. Now, as you know, we hope to get somewhere around another $3 billion or so of community development block grant money, which we can use in part for these buyouts. And so we're going to continue to do that. The towns we announced yesterday are the ones that we believe were the hardest hit, most impacted by Sandy, and the Passaic River Basin, which, as you know, has been regularly hit, was awfully hit in Irene. And so that was our decision to start there, but it doesn't mean that we're going to end there. The program is going to be bigger, but we'll have to see as we make our application for the next tranche of money, which should come somewhere around September, what exactly we decide to do with that. But certainly, it will be restricted to the impacted counties in Sandy, which Bergen is one of them. And if we decide to make some of those moves into other towns, it'll be based on the facts that we see on the ground. Twofold. One, how repetitive has the flooding been? And secondly, how willing are the folks there in large numbers to be willing to sell? And that's really the two factors that we look at the most.
There's no stipulation to the feds saying it had to be in Sandy's flood.
No, it has to be in one of the affected counties. It has to be one of the affected counties, and Bergen is one of the affected counties. So that's the criteria. We're not going to be going outside of the affected counties, but Passaic and Essex are affected counties as well. Yes, sir.
Governor, President Obama did go over three different scandals, Benghazi, IRS, and the hate speech prohibition. How did you handle it?
Well, I think I said, I think I commented on this yesterday or the day before. I think when you're in an executive position, you need to be very assertive. And one of my arguments about the president all along has been that I think he needs to be more assertive. He needs to push harder on some of these things. And so from my perspective, things have been a little slow in terms of reacting down there to all this. And not all situations are created equal. So I think they have to make judgments on each and every one of them as they go along. But when you're the elected executive in charge of the government, the buck stops with you. And ultimately you're held responsible for everything. And so my view has always been, you better get aggressive about getting in there and finding out what's going on. You can't know everything. And no person in charge of the government as large as the one I'm in charge of, or even the larger one, the federal government knows everything. But I think a lot of how you're judged is based on how you react when you find out. And I wish the president had been more aggressive in both his comments and his actions after he found out about some of these instances, the IRS one in particular, because that's one that affects every American. And if we can't believe in the fact that the IRS is going to go about their job in a nonpartisan way, then everybody's at risk. Because depending upon who the president is next, you're the one who's going to have your ox being bored. We count on the fact that the IRS is going to go about these things in a nonpartisan way. And if we believe, that once again, the IRS being used by anyone in government for political purposes, that's completely unacceptable and should be frightening to, most everyone in this country is always subject to action by the IRS. So that's the one that, jumped out at me is that I wish he just had been more aggressive and more forceful right from the time that he found out about it. I want to thank the mayor very much for his endorsement, his support, and most importantly for his friendship. We've worked well together over time, and I'm thrilled that we have. And I think it's really worked to the benefit of the citizens that he represents. And we're going to continue to do that over the course of time. My staff will continue to work closely with him as we have for the next 3.5 years. There are problems or issues here in the city of Burlington. We want to know about them. We want to do what we can to help and work as a team together. And he has put aside party concerns for the last 3.5 years to do that work with me. And so today is just another step in that direction. An important one that I'm proud to receive. But it's not going to change our relationship one bit. The phone rings tomorrow and it's from the mayor. He's going to get the same kind of response tomorrow as he got yesterday. And I think that's why he's here, because he knows that. He knows that's the way we deal with folks, honest, straight up, give them the truth, and deal with them like they deserve to be dealt with. We're citizens of New Jersey and taxpayers, and they need to be dealt with respect and responsiveness by the governor and his office, and will continue to be. So, Mayor, thank you so much for that. That's okay. I'll take it. Now I know what I'm wearing when I come to Burlington. Thank you very much. Oh, that's great. Appreciate it very much. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.